This is information for my Taiwanese friends who are learning English about the famous American short story The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. The Lottery is a well-known story in the United States. I studied it years ago when I was in school. The story takes place in New England. This was the first part of the United States to be settled hundreds of years ago. People who came there wanted to be left alone. They wanted to make their own decisions about how to live. Most came because they had very strong ideas about their religion, and they left places in Europe where the government was trying to make them change their religious ideas. They were conservative, strict, very traditional in their ways, and they were patriarchal. This means that the men were in charge and the women had no choice but to obey their husbands and fathers. People in New England today are much different from their ancestors 300 years ago. But I think they still tend to be conservative and to like traditional ways. There is no place where a real lottery like this exists in New England, but people still like doing things in the ways they have been done for a long time. There are big cities in New England, but there are also many small towns in New England. Some have only a few hundred residents, with farmland all around. New England towns often have a park in the middle of the town, like the one in this story. It is usually near the stores and government offices. Here is a picture from the air of a town square in a small town in New England. Maybe you can imagine the people meeting in the lottery in a place like this. Many small towns in New England still have a kind of government called a town meeting. Everyone who lives in the town can attend the meeting. Everyone can vote and make decisions for the town right there during the meeting. The story The Lottery may have been partially based on something called the Salem Witch Trials. These happened over 300 years ago in the town of Salem, Massachusetts. At that time, the church ran everything. There was no difference between the church and the government. The church was very stubborn about its rules. 20 people were put to death after they were accused of being witches. This means they did evil things with magic. We now know that the people were not witches. Everyone agrees that the rules used to find the people guilty were wrong, just like the rules of the lottery in this story are wrong. But the people in the town of Salem were scared because they believed there really was evil magic. No one in Salem would speak up and say they were being unfair. Just like everybody in the lottery seemed to dislike it, but all just went along. It was only after the people in Salem were dead that people from other places came forward and began to criticize the decisions. The Salem Witch Trials are remembered in America today with shame. I think that maybe one of the things the author of The Lottery was trying to say was that people need to speak out when they see injustice.